Welcome to South Beach Sessions. We're doing these out west here, and this man, a comedian, an actor, he's got two very popular podcasts. What's his name again? Andrew Santino is with us. Your podcasts have probably altered the way that you were living, I would imagine. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm interested in your biography. I'm interested in how and where your funny came from and the things that made you who you are. But I'm also interested in how your life has changed over the last 5 years or so as you've discovered a medium that a lot of comedians have discovered to really find their true potential.
Yeah, I mean, it's been, we were talking a little bit before the show. We started Bad Friend. I started Whiskey Ginger like 7.5 so years ago. And I started Bad Friends with Bobby Lee in 2020, which was a really great year for everybody. And it catapulted us in the internet space. I can't walk down the street without someone crossing their eyes and yelling, "I'm Bobby Mom" at me. That happens daily. It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse. Blessing when I'm in a good mood, curse when I'm at dinner with my wife. Tough to yell in a restaurant, "I'm Bobby Mom." That's tough to hear when you're just trying to have sushi.
But how did it connect? I understand that you're arriving now at an uncommon kind of fame because this medium that you're in is a particularly intimate one where I don't know how much the connection is around video, but to invade an intimate space where you're making these people laugh during dark times, they're in your home, like the connection space on something like this is intimate, and I'm sure you understand it. I don't mean to explain it to you, but I imagine that the doing of it, chemistry with a friend, performing with a friend in a format that's that open, I imagine that creatively it would be wildly stimulating.
It's the most fun I've ever had in my entire career. I've said that like 1,000 times on everything I've ever done. I've never done anything as fun as doing a show with Bobby ever. Not to like blow smoke up my own tush, but I think it's not only the best thing I've ever done creatively and comedically, it's also so culturally relevant that I'm even impressed by it, that I'm like, oh my God, like people really take to this in a way that's like, Martin and Lewis, of a generation where like that was a cultural duo that people loved. And I'm starting to realize, I'm like, man, people like us like that. When all it really was for us was, me and one of my best friends, if not my best friend, being immature and just having fun and saying all sorts of stuff that, you want to just goof about, that you talk about with your friends in private. We just put it on the show. We were like, we don't care. Who cares? None of it is vitriol. None of it has come from a bad place. It's all from love. So it just kind of dismantles any sort of criticism. I mean, we've gotten some for sure, but we just don't care. I think we just don't care. I don't really care. It's a comedy show. It's all fake. It's all for fun.
It's I don't know if you regard it as the freest you, but as someone who will staunchly defend stand-up comedy at every turn, it must feel somewhere freeing to you to occupy a space where it looks like third rail stuff and all you are is you're just being yourself, maximum yourself with a friend, talking to a friend the way you would talk to a friend if both of you were also aware, if we turn our 8 up to 10 on ad lib, we'll just be toddlers running around chasing each other through a playground.
Right. Yeah, no, we're as free. No, it is. It's as free as we've ever been. I don't think there's any restrictive. We have episodes that there's parts of episode we don't air because it's probably too much, but we do that to egg each other on to get to another place. We're constructing as we're going. We have formats of the show. We build things out. And then as we're building, we remove a piece and put it somewhere else. And sometimes, it's a joke that we know we shouldn't say. So we say the joke and we cut it and it gets a laugh internally and it helps the rhythm of the show. It's almost like we say stuff we know is terrible to get the studio laughing. And then it leads us to a better place where we're not, we never were going to go unless we went to the first place.
Explain your friendship to me.
With Bob, my friendship with Bobby is a peculiar one. We were friends years ago. We met at the Comedy Store. He saw me when I was auditioning to be a regular. And then we became buddies, but we always loved each other. We always had a great relationship. And then I would do his podcast that he still does, his other podcast. And I would fill in, and people loved our relationship because it's this weird, there's a weird magnetic pull that him and I have, that we really are so polar opposites, but we love each other so much, but we have nothing in common on paper. He loves video games, and he's fat, and I'm in shape, and I like sports. Like as a guy, we're two completely different guys. He is way more artistically wild and free. I'm more buttoned up and, military kid type of thing. We're just personality. We're so different, but comedically, for some reason, when you strip all that other crap away, we're the same. We're just two idiot kids that love to make the joke that you're not supposed to make. I think it tied us together. And then we were doing I was doing his podcast a lot, filling in for him. And admittedly, he was going through a tough time. I mean, his father passed away. We had to put him in rehab, which was tough. I mean, I put him in rehab 3 times, which is not fun. But I care for him, so I love him, and I'm always trying to do what's right for him. But the first time we put him in rehab, I think he had like an epiphany about what he really wanted in life, and that was to create a new show where we go at each other every week and see what brews of it. So we did it for fun. And by the grace of the universe, whatever deity you believe in, something blessed us and gave us COVID. And COVID shut down the world and birthed this show. It was like, literally, it was like made everyone stay at home, watch Bad Friends.
Great for you, terrible for
the world. But it birthed a show. I mean, literally, if it wasn't for that, I don't know if we would have taken off in the same way. We probably would have become a somewhat popular show because we both had an audience, but what we found from it was unbelievable. People stayed at home, and then they took to this relationship because it was like they felt like they could be with their friends without having to be with their friends. So the parasocial growth we got from that, like you were talking about before, it's monumental. People are our family. Like our fans are family. When we see them at these live shows, it's like they're your oldest friend in the world because of that parasocial relationship, which we love as long as it's not creepy. We've had a couple of creepy. We had a guy, break into a show, break backstage, and we thought he was there for the meet and greet. And he was like, no, this is what I do. I break into the shows to get backstage. I was like, well, don't tell anybody that because now we're going to kick you out of the show. Like, why would you do? I was like, why would you do that? Now we're absolutely going to have you kicked out, and the cops are going to be here. So if it's the creepy line, no, thank you. But everything else, we love it. I think we've been able to. The connection we've made with the fans is something I've never felt before my entire career. Of all the stuff I've ever done, nothing's felt that
It's the greatest. To connect with people when you are helping them through a dark and lonely time with the medicine of laughter is not just getting what you get on stand-up from the stage that's instantaneous, but to know that you're doing everywhere and not knowing where it lands, how it lands, but that you're actually helping somebody who's doing a shitty job for 8 hours a day, and you help them through 90 minutes of it, forgetting that they're in a shitty job. It's the greatest. It's different than in my experience. I've only done writing in television and radio, but in my experience, it's the most rewarding entertainment, community fulfillment because the relationship is actually real and they feel like they know you better than most people who watch your act might know you.
Oh, big time. I mean, because on stage, it's such a different beast. Stage presence, and that's such a, a lot of times it's like this hyperbolic version of you. Or it's a total character. A lot of people play total characters, but for me, like stage work, my stand-up is me having fun. It's really just me like getting away with it and having a good time. The show, I get to like really transform into this character, and we get to just do whatever we want. And it's the most, it's by far the most rewarding because people then get invested in it, whether or not they believe in whatever's going on that week. They really do get invested in it. Sometimes they take it personal, which is crazy, but we've somehow managed to navigate that genuinely, where even when we're, going too far or going into like just a wacky direction, they've stayed with us, which is impressive. I'm super humbled and grateful for it. I've truly, to this day, man, the Bad Friends family is like the coolest thing I've ever cultivated. Ever. It's wild.
What did you learn about both your friendship and addiction going through that experience with him 3 times, making him go to rehab?
It was tough. Well, the first time was really the hardest. I'm a child of addiction. My dad is an addict who's been sober for a long time now and was in and out of prison when I was a kid. So like my experience with addiction is tough. I've seen it firsthand. You know, I make light of it from my perspective because it's the only, it's the way I like to deal with it. But with him, it was really hard because he, I wouldn't say used it against me a little bit, but he was weaponizing it in a way at the beginning of a relationship that was like, you have to protect me, otherwise we'll never be able to do this show. So there was like a tough moment, and he admits it that he was in the throes of addiction. So it was tough. And, when we finally made the decision to really force him to go to rehab and like get back to where he was and who he was, I think like the anger he had was superseded by, the gratefulness when he came out on the other side. And the other instances have been tough too. I mean, it's hard telling your friend you got to go to rehab. That's a shitty thing to do. It's really hard. But he's handled it really well, and I think...
what a loving act, though. I mean, yeah, it's hard, but
you have to.
It's a hugely loving act because it's easier to not do that.
Well, yeah, particularly when you have someone like him who's like he's my sweet little spring roll. He is just so, he's so edible and lovable, and it's hard to get mad at him. It's really hard to get mad at him. And so even when I know he's kind of utilizing addictive personality and addictive qualities to like manipulate me or make me feel bad about stuff or, make me feel guilty about treating him a type of way, I really do know that it's because he just, sometimes we all need help in a million different ways. And so that's kind of his call sometimes is when he's really kind of vulnerable, he'll make you feel bad about questioning him. But you have to kind of push through it and tell him, we got to get right. So he's right though now, and it's amazing. And when he's never funnier than when he's sober. And that may sound like cliche or something, but like he is on fire when he's the most clear-headed and nothing is in his system. Beyond substances, whether it's, the anxiety of addiction or, the troubles that come from relationships and blah, blah. When he's sober and clear and feels comfortable with himself and really is like happy, he's the funniest guy I've ever seen in my entire life. Nobody's funnier. Nobody's quicker and more cute and sneaky when he's clear. It's remarkable to watch sometimes.
Who's second place for you in terms of someone that you have flawless comedic chemistry with? Because one of the reasons you enjoy this so much is because you know how good it is as you're slicing it up. Like to your ear, it sounds like music.
Yeah.
And if you're playing it with an equal who loves you, an equal you understand, an equal who has the same love of craftsmanship that there's found in comedy, you're doing the thing that's the most fun with the person that's most qualified to do it with you.
Yeah, I don't. It's tough. I don't know. I think he's my North Star. That's the best comedic bouncing I've ever had in my entire life. Rick Glassman and I have been friends for a long, long time. We kind of started together, and Rick's improv is so fun, and his comedic bouncing is wonderful. We always have an unbelievably fun time together. But that's just like that. The difference with like those relationships that I have with other people in comedy is, there's other great comics that I bounce well with if when we perform together, whether it's on a pod or, shows or sketches or whatever. But with Bobby, it is something different. I wish I could explain it. It sounds so corny, but there's something else. There's a love that's so real that makes the comedy so fun. It's truly, I think that's the secret. Whenever there was a great comedy duo, or a duo of whatever, music or acting or performance or whatever, when there's a pair, there's something so deep that's beyond the thing that you're doing. That's what makes it good. It's not even the thing. it's not even the comedy. It's the love or the thing that we have for each other, this like internal crush on one another's souls. It's something about that like brings the thing to be better. It's crazy. When you see a good duo that like, you know, my grandmother, rest in peace, loved ice skating. And she would talk about the relationships of these skaters and all this stuff, and I wasn't interested in it as a kid. But when I got older and I like understood, when there was a true deep connection beyond ice for these two people, that's why they were the best. Something was there. It didn't have to be, it could be platonic. I'm not saying it's romantic, but something else.
It clearly is with you and Bobby Lee. It clearly is romantic.
That's romantic. Yeah, I mean, that is romantic. Obvious. You're right. And we've never slept together because we want the show to keep going. I feel like if we do sleep together, everything
would ruin everything.
Well, it does, right?
Well, the tension, you need the tension in order to carry everything.
You do not dip your pen in the company ink. And so we've been very good about that. Yeah. And so I think we have a thing that I can't describe that I don't have with anybody else. I have really deep connections with other people in a different way, comedically, but not like I do with that kid.
You mentioned your father and dealing with all of that with just humor. There's nothing else that you deal with that with. It's just funny is how it is that the father in and out of prison dealing with addiction seems like it would be shaping someone, could shape them.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely a piece of who I am, for sure. It's why I am the way I am, but without getting therapeutic, it's like I have to laugh at it or joke about it or make light of it because time has happened. It's over. It's way in the past. I mean, I'm 41 years old.
You're an adult.
Yeah, I'm too grown now to like really lament about it. I know that's kind of maybe that's a therapist would say that's probably bad, but I don't know. There's no other way to do it. I'm too grown to. You can't, look backwards all the time. It's a weird thing to have that as a part of my history, but I was never beaten as a kid. I was never abused. So I fared okay. Just had a dad in prison. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like life was actually okay. My mom remarried. I had a great stepdad. It wasn't that bad. So that's why I say that I joke about it because it is what it is. I don't know. I can't like sit there and be like, this is why that I'm XYZ because my dad was in prison. It's like, no, it was a crappy time and you grow out of it. And then you have to utilize it for good, I guess. So then I have to joke about it a little bit.
Well, what are the odds, though, of coming out of Section 8 housing and then arriving at what you arrived at? Like, have you thought about the mathematical improbabilities of how unusual your story is?
Well, I do. Well, I'll make some sort of clarification, too. I think I had talked in an interview about my mom and I in subsidized housing, which is true, but they make it sound like, for some reason, I think people, even listeners now, are probably like, oh, Section 8. They have this pretty terrible view in their mind over what that is. Every new building built everywhere has to have Section 8. I used to live right here in West Hollywood. We had you have to have subsidized housing when you build a new building. So we lived in a nice area of Chicago when I was a kid. But yes, because I had a single mother, we were in subsidized rent because she couldn't afford it. So I never came from the gutter. I don't have some incredible like rags to riches. I've got, Target to riches. Do you know what I mean? I've got baseline, you know what I mean?
Right. No.
Regular Americana. And so I do, it does hit me often that it is kind of crazy that I was blessed enough to have this kind of, I don't know, this career run because yes, I didn't have, there's no nepotism with me, unfortunately. I had no rich uncle out here. I had no, there was no connection to the business. I did this, basically on my own. I moved out here and kept swinging the bat until I finally got a hit, which is, it doesn't surpass me mentally that's insane. It's crazy.
Well, take me through the grind. Take me through the struggles of what it looked like to arrive at your career and what the hardest days you look back on that might not have felt like hard days because you were so hell-bent on dreaming about I'm near the Comedy Store.
Right.
This is where I can make it happen.
I mean, the story goes, I moved out here after I was I went to Harvard of the West. I went to Arizona State. the greatest institution in the desert. And after I left, I had a lot of friends that were California kids, and they convinced me to move to California because it was either that or New York. And I was like, I just want to stay in the sun. Like because if I go back east, I was afraid I'd go back to Chicago, and that was just too scary. I just wanted to drown. It was either sink or swim. So.
You knew that then. You
100%.
knew So, and how long are you giving yourself?
Oh, the indefinite. This was all I could do. I'm too stupid to do anything. I mean, I don't even know who would hire me. Like I had a, journalism degree. I think I minored in English. Like I have to say I think, because I don't even remember truly what I ended up with.
But you've decided on this as a chase at what age? Like how is all of that happening?
When I was a kid, I loved entertainment. I was obsessed. My friend Sean and I would sit in my mom's basement and watch, Dumb and Dumber, and we'd wear out the VHS. We'd rewind the scenes that we liked so much that it would get skippy. I don't know if you remember that. I mean, it would like literally blur because you've just ruined the tape from spinning it back. I mean, we would do that. I mean, that was like my whole life, was like watching comedy entertainment movies. And I'm an 80s baby, so, I was right in the gut of fun, big, commercial, broad comedy. These things.
So you're looking at this childlike discovery.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I want to do that.
I want to do that. And who are the people who you're like? You mentioned Dumb and Dumber, but
Beverly Hills Cop, Eddie Murphy. I mean, that was like one of the greatest. When I saw that, I was like, you can be a goofball and be kind of a caricature and still act in a movie. That blew my mind because he was so swift and smooth and so cool, but so funny. Like that was kind of like my foray. Beverly Hills Cop was one of my favorite movies. And then I would get into some of the heartfelt stuff. Like Big was, me and my mom used to watch Big. I love Big. And I was like, this is funny and it's sweet. And it didn't take itself that serious. That's kind of my tone of comedy. I'm funny, sweet. I'm a little sardonic. I can be sarcastic, but it doesn't take itself that serious. It's a joke. It's all a big joke. So that kind of world, especially with Jim, everything with Jim stuff. I mean, everything Jim made, I was obsessed with as a kid. I was just like, that's what I want to do in some capacity. And Eddie and Jim being stand-ups, that's what kind of drew me in.
So in high school, you're refining any of this yet, or you're trying to?
No, I had a secret wish.
So you're funny in class.
I was just a funny, loud idiot. Everyone was like, I always wanted to make light of stuff. I always had to poke the bear. I was a terrible student. Teachers loathed me. Students liked me. It was just, I wanted to have fun. I hated school. I wanted to have fun. This was like a waste of time to me. It was like, why can't we have fun? What is all this for? I still agree. I most of the time I'm like, what is all this crap for? Don't you want to have fun? Shouldn't life be fun? It's gonna be done so fast. So I just wanted to have a good time. So yes, I was a terrible student. I went out to Arizona. Back then there was the Tempe Improv. That was pretty much the only comedy club in the area. There was a couple, there was like open mic-y stuff. So in college I started to get the itch. I was like, I think I'm gonna try it. I barely told anybody because I was scared of it's embarrassing. Comedy is embarrassing. I want to be a stand-up. Really? It's an embarrassing dream. It's an actor, for some reason, people are like, yeah, go to Hollywood, try to make it. Stand-up comedy is such an embarrassing, it's a stain on your shirt. It's like, oh God, all right.
That's a career. It's a
stain on your shirt. Yeah. It's like, oh, you're going to walk around like that? Like, well, yeah, I'm a stand-up. It's so stupid. It's a dumb dream. But I loved it, so I kept it quiet. And I only told a few people that I really wanted to do it. And one of my best friends, who I just saw again, still one of my best buddies, Colin, is from the Bay, and he said, I'm moving to Long Beach. Do you want to come with me? I've got a place we can sleep. I got this guy's lazy boy you can stay on until we can find a spot. Sure. I was like, I'll do it. So I moved on the 4th of July. You want to talk about cliche? I moved on the 4th of July in a U-Haul while the fireworks are going off. I'm pulling into LA.
The American dream.
I'm making it, baby! Right to a lazy boy couch in Long Beach. Perfect, man. That's the dream. Yeah, with like no money. And also, my mom and my stepdad, worked my whole life. My mom just retired, a year ago. So we didn't come from a ton of money. Like we weren't poor by any means. But like there wasn't this great safety net. My parents weren't like, whatever happens, we have, it was never that thing. It was like, you're going to go do this thing, go do it. Go get a job, go pay rent. our family's always been that way. It's very supportive, but never, there's no financial net. There was no like, you'll be okay if you fail.
So
no.
You're on your own, and how tough is it, and how much doubt is there, or are you just trying to climb?
That stuff, you black out the doubt. It didn't, because I was 22 years old. I couldn't care less. I had no aspirations of like money and riches and fame. I just wanted to make enough money to do comedy to pay my way. I was like, this is kind of an old thing for comics. We always say, you're rich in comedy and you're like a stand-up who's made it, is if you can go out to eat and you don't look at how much the costs. If we can go out to the diner, if we can go to Swingers and you're not worried about which meal you're going to get. That was kind of for us back then, was like, that guy's doing really good. Like, he doesn't care. That's a $13 pancake. And he doesn't care. Mind, that guy's killing it. So in our mind, that was it. It was like, if you can.
So that was success to you. The big American dream is the U-Haul, the fireworks, like Lazy Boy on Long Beach. And will I one day be able to afford a $13 pancake without noticing that it's $13?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I still look today. I'm still like, this is, my wife orders. I'm like, how much? That's $26. All right, well, you going to take half home? No, but I that was making it, was like, if you didn't care about looking at the prices when we would go out to the diners after the shows, because we all used to go to Swingers, Swingers or Greenblatt's, or, you know, the old days, we used to mimic the comics before us that go to Cantor's, or, you know, we'd go to these old Jewish delis. That's where we'd go after shows. We would all go there and hang out and get food. And if you could afford to not worry about the price of the menu that night, you know, we're not going to a steakhouse. I mean, it's a diner, but still, that to me was like, if I can afford rent and food and not worry about how much the food costs when I go to eat at a diner, we're fine. So that truly, I'm not kidding. I just wanted to, like, can I get by? Am I not going to feel, you know, scared every month? Can I just not be scared every month? So that was the dream. I moved up to Los Angeles. I found a listing on Craigslist with UCLA students, graduates, and I lived in Culver City in a 3-bed, 1-bath. 3-bed, 1-bath, beautiful. It's actually a 2-bed, 1-bath, but I lived in a partitioned off dining room. My light was a chandelier from an old dining room, and they just put up a door and a wall. So one wall led to where the front door was, and the other one was the kitchen.
Bathroom with strangers.
Yeah. And so you know, that was my life. I worked as a PA. I got a job at a studio, making $400 a week before taxes. All of these people working here now, all of these young kids who are getting paid unbelievable money. We have people that work for us that I'm like, how much money do we pay you? You're 24 years old? I think I made $300 a week after taxes. I was like, anyway. And they're like, can I get reimbursement for gas? I'm like, yeah, sure. Whatever you want. What do you have, a Hummer? Yeah, I'll fill it up. Was it $300 to fill up your car? That's my entire paycheck for 1 week. So I got a job doing that, and I was a runaround all day and then stand up all night and then rinse, wash, and repeat. And it was constant. That's all you did. PA all day, gopher, whatever they wanted. Groceries, cleaning up. I went to go to Beverly Hills and get your boss a tie. Drive it back by noon or you're fired. You know, it was like that. Go deliver scripts in the Hollywood Hills to movie stars without Google Maps. This is Thomas Guide. Do you know the Thomas Guide?
So you're just getting lost everywhere.
The worst. I had to flip pages and be like,
you're bad at the job.
Oh, I hated it. I sucked at it. I just was not good at
anything, you said.
Anything, really. Yeah. I've only been good at having fun. Fun is like the only thing I'm good at. Joking and having fun with someone. Yeah, I was so bad at it.
It's a good thing to be good at if you're only going to be good at one thing.
I guess. I mean, you know, if it all falls out, I have nothing to fall back on. I mean, there's a Jimmy John's near the house. I might get they always are hiring, it says. So I might have to do that. But yeah, that was my life.
But you were happy? You were happy-ish? Not doubting?
No, unbelievably happy. Didn't care. I never had the dream. I didn't have one day I'm going to be a star. I didn't have that. I never, ever, ever had that. I had one day I'm going to be a comedian.
One day I can afford pancakes.
One day I want to afford pancakes. Yeah, I'm not kidding. To this day, I feel like maybe I'm stupid that I didn't have a dream.
Well, I mean, if you're going to make it 4th of July and the U-Haul and the fireworks, like you did that.
I did. I guess.
You noticed it was you noticed the date.
Yeah, but I moved on that date only because my girlfriend had kicked me out of her place.
Okay.
It was just the day she was like, "Get out."
Right.
Because I told her we're not moving to LA together. She threw a knife at me and I had to leave. I was like, all right, I have to go. I guess I gotta go. So it was coincidence that was the 4th. I didn't plan it like that. It was like, all right, I guess I'm going to LA. So I went to LA and I never had a dream. I'm not kidding. I never had the dream.
It doesn't sound like it.
So I just wanted to go.
How long do you spend in that space? Just partition, chandelier, PA?
I lived there. I was still a PA after that. And then I worked a day job. I got a day job at a music industry doing like paper pusher work for them. But I stayed in that place for 2 years. And then I met a bunch of guys through a kid I grew up with, moved out here, and he went to Columbia and Chicago, and he was like, hey, there's a bunch of these guys are Chicago guys, and they're starting to join this 16-inch no glove Chicago style softball league in the Valley. And I was like, glove. Yeah, 16-inch no glove, baby, Chi-Town. Chicago style. So I was like, oh my God, there'll be a bunch of Chicago people, this will be great. And I went up there and I met a bunch of these guys, and they're still, a bunch of them are still my closest friends today. And then I moved in with them, and that was how I like kind of started to grow out of the crap, because I started to meet more people, and those people led me to meet more people, and this guy worked for this manager, and this guy was dating this girl, and she had a connection to things, so they could get you an audition for a manager. It was that's how it started to grow. My circle just started to grow and grow. And then, my first gig I ever landed was I did a show for MSN. When you bought a PC, we were on the main page, msn.com. And so I did a show for them that was like a weekly web update show that I just auditioned for and landed somehow, some way. And it was like a weekly hosting show. And I was able to quit my day job from that and just do comedy full time. It changed my life. That to this day was like one of the happiest moments of my life. I hung up the phone, I ran down 4 flights of stairs, and I just ran east on Wilshire for like 2 miles. Just ran east. I was so excited. It was Forrest Gump. I was running. I just wanted to go. It was like all of this was inside of me. It was like exploding out of me.
What a great story.
It was one of the happiest moments I think I've ever felt in my entire life. I ran east on Wilshire until I just decided to come back. And then I went back to my office and I told my boss at the time, who was rad, I said, I got this job and I'm going to quit. I can finally do comedy all the time. And they were happy for me. They knew that's what I really wanted. So that was the beginning of like being able to pay my bills and my rent without having a day job, quote unquote, even though it was still a day job.
So your joy is because you've seen the path open.
Yeah.
Finally.
I mean, that was the most relieving, because you don't know how long you're like, how long will this last? How long do I want to do a day job and then work comedy at night? And for many people, that's still a reality. I'm blessed that I didn't have to at some point. Many people still work jobs. How long
had you been doing it that way?
I landed the first job in 2011, I want to say, or 12. So 6 or 7 years into living here.
Struggling here, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's not like, mommy and daddy didn't, I never had a credit card. I never had that. I was always very jealous of that until later in life. Then I realized that it was kind of a blessing that my parents were very like, you have to go do everything on your own. But I did see guys that were able to like go out to like eat or drinks if we go to the bar, and they would put down a credit card that I knew wasn't theirs. And I was like, man, I'm so jealous of that, because I have $37 until Tuesday. That was always it. It wasn't scary, but there were nights where I was bummed, because I was like, man, what if I have to ask my mom for $100? I just didn't want to do it. But I luckily never had to, like, thank God. I don't know why or how it worked out, but I never had to say, hey, can you send me money? But there were nights where I would, I was up all night sleeping on my mattress on the floor, without a box spring or a bed frame, that I was like, hey, am I going to have to beg someone for money or donate plasma? Or like, how am I going to get a couple more bucks? A shining light was truly when I went back down to Long Beach. My buddy Dan was dating a girl who was working on the Queen Mary. And they needed a halftime comedian, and I slid into that spot. So I got paid $100 a show. That actually really got me through. So I'd make a couple $100 a weekend being a halftime dinner theater performer. And if it weren't for that job, I'd probably had to have called mom and dad.
Oh, wow. That was that close.
Oh my God. Yeah. It was unbelievable timing. It was something, again, something in the universe gave me a gift. That was a absolute drop in my lap gift. Couldn't believe it worked. To this day, it's so strange to me. I was like, how did I end up with that job? So I would drive down to Long Beach every single weekend, Friday and Saturday nights, and do the show, and then come back and then do comedy all week and then go do it again just to make enough money to keep going. It literally saved me because I couldn't, I was scared about rent. Rent was $425 back then though.
I mean, still steep if you're only making $400 before taxes.
That's what I mean. $425 was rent, and I was like, man, how do I make rent? So if it weren't for the boat, I probably wouldn't have been able to. If it weren't for that Queen Mary, that beautiful boat lodged in the harbor. I don't know if have you ever been?
No.
It's interesting. It's a docked boat that was one of the Queen Marys.
Uh-huh.
And
interesting.
It's a hotel now. Uh-huh. It's a hotel. It's, I don't want to talk bad about it. It was fun. It's a little sketchy, but it's fun.
What are the other places, either professionally or personally, and I'm not trying to get you to top that story, but something that felt so exhilarating that you recall it as a happier thing in my life that happened to me that made me want to run for 2 miles with runner's high just so that I could be clear-headed about how wonderful all of this feels?
Well, it's interesting. I've had an embarrassment of riches in my life. There are moments that I'm even shocked that I was even like a part of. But I hate to say this, but nothing has felt like that. Mm-hmm. Which
makes sense.
It's kind of crazy. Nothing felt like that. Where like working with Pete Farrelly, who is a hero of mine as a kid. Like doing a movie with Pete, getting a phone call from Pete Farrelly to do a movie, to do Ricky Stenicki with Cena and Efron. I was like, I will, sit down while I'm having coffee, and it does hit you. Like you're like, I cannot believe this is my life. I'm so blessed. This is like crazy. I can't believe I'm getting to do these things. So those feel so incredible, but nothing felt like when I got to quit my job felt like, because I felt like something was giving me a chance. It was like, all right, but now you have to put in the work. I will say for people that are listening that are in, young stand-ups or young people that want to act or get into the business, it has never, ever gotten easier. So I hope they know that. It's not like because I got that job, everything was okay. Because then you had to work that much harder to not only keep that job, but to get another job. And then once you get that job, you better prove that you were worth it again for them to take a risk on you for that one little gig that you did. And then when you do that, you better really have something in the tank for the very next job. So the pressure was never off. I'm 41 years old. I still feel every job I do is like, you better do the job.
I've assumed that wherever there are people making things well, whether it's watching Shandling and Seinfeld talking comedians in cars getting coffee about how hard it was to do what they were doing that made it look easy. From where I'm standing, I can't tell if you getting some of the things you've wanted over the last 5 years is all blessing, or if you're on a treadmill right now where you can't totally enjoy it all, because now all the things you've wanted are coming your way, but you got to be careful how much you say yes to, because you still love stand-up comedy and you want to do all the other things as well. But 2 popular podcasts sounds like it's hard to, no matter how much you're enjoying it, to keep it to the standard that you wish for it to be at.
Totally. There is a piece of me that isn't getting to enjoy it as much as I would like to. That's just honest truth. Because it's a lot of stuff. I'm balancing 2 shows, a stand-up career. I'm doing a new hour. We've sold an animated show. We're selling another television show that we're going out with right now that we're already in production with. So yes, I have a lot on my plate and building and building and building. And there's other things I'm doing on the side that I really enjoy a lot. I'm building my next phase of my career next year. I'm building a lot in the golf space. We're planning on going out with some stuff because I'm a diehard golfer. And I was like, this is really who I am. And there's not a lot of comedy in the golf space. I mean, we'll see what happens with...
Or in the sports space. Yeah, it's been so weird to me.
It's strange.
I don't get it.
Well, it's a hard risk because I don't know if... I'll say this. everybody who likes sports may not like comedy, but everybody who likes comedy probably likes sports. Do you know what I mean? Like it's, I would imagine there's a lot of people that are diehard sports fans that are not really into comedy. That wouldn't, but I do think everyone who likes comedy, who has that kind of like lust for life, you probably like sports. I just assume, but Peyton Manning's company, Omaha, is producing my special next year, which is incredible. And because of that, part of it was because I wanted to get more into the sports comedy space. And we're starting this little golf project that we're working on. And so that's taken up a lot of my time, but it's what I really want to do next. Like I want to be more into that world because that's also who I am. And I talk about it enough on shows, but I want to do it. Like I want to actually make another lane that I love instead of trying to find, you're always trying to find what's the next thing. But this one's like, well, I love that. I should just try that. If it fails, it fails. Who cares?
You're addicted to golf, right?
It's bad. Yeah, I'm an addict. I'm an addict. I literally went to San Diego yesterday and drove back last night and then had to work last night. It's bad. I have a sickness. I need to go to see somebody.
You're very good as well.
I'm okay. Yeah.
When sports things start happening to you and you look back at the person who, had $37 in the bank account, but you're now Travis Kelce is texting you during games? No.
We text. He's a buddy. We text. Yeah.
But and your dog is named Cubby, so you're doing take me out to the ball game at Wrigley Field.
Yes.
Like when you're getting some of these sports things coming your way, surely you're pinching yourself there. The sports fan and the child in you is like,
yeah.
How does this happen?
The sports thing blows my mind because as a diehard Cubs fan as a kid, being able to throw on the first pitch was cool. I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's just, a local insurance agent also gets to do it sometimes. But singing the seventh inning stretch at Wrigley to me is, my father, I sent my dad the email from the Cubs and he was like, oh my God, man, you finally made it. Like of all the stuff that you've done, he's like, that's it. To me, that was one of the best moments of my entire life. And to have my family out there for it was like, that was one of those moments. That's running down Wilshire a little bit.
Yeah, that's how many.
And that wasn't a reward of the business. I mean, it was a gift because of my work in the business, but that felt like running on Wilshire. Having my family afterwards, having drinks, being able to take my family to this thing, have fun with them, have them see me do this thing. That's monumental.
It's cool. You don't have a lot of other sports things like that, right? Like pinch me sports things. Like
I don't think so.
Because both you and Shane Gillis, if you're a sports fan and you come into some taste making comedy success, all of a sudden you end up getting surprised a little bit by who wants to meet you.
Yes, it is a little strange. It becomes and this little bump that I've had in my career.
I would think Dave helped there too.
It did. Yeah, the show people loved the show, and that helped me out a lot, get this kind of bump in my career. And it was also at the same time that Bad Friends was growing, so it was just kind of all these things collided, which is kind of usually how it happens in the business. Like a bunch of things just happen to collide. But the world of my friendship of sports, and I do want to say this, I want to clear this up because he
doesn't text you during games.
No,
it's not during games.
Not during games. No, but I get so much crap for cheering on Kansas City because everyone online is like, you're a Bears fan. And let me say this to your audience. I am a Bear. I'm a diehard Chicago fan for the rest of my life, okay? But you go get yourself 2 Hall of Fame Super Bowl champion friends. Go get two of them, and then you tell me you're not going to root for their team a little bit, okay? Okay? It pisses me off when people are like, what are you, sell out? Sell out? 2 of my friends are Hall of Fame current players. What are you not going to root for them? What are you talking about?
You need to not be friends with them so that you can only root for the Bears.
That's insane. That's an insane, this is an ideology that I think America still has where they're like, you can't do that. You sell out. You cross it over there. Really, dude? Go get 2 friends that are Hall of Famers that play.
The best quarterback I've had is Jay Cutler.
Come on, dude.
My entire lifetime.
Until now. Until right now. Those painted nails are going to get us somewhere, baby. Let's go, Caleb. Also, shout out Cole Kmet, my dog. I love the Bears. I have some homies. I support my friends. I am not a diehard Chiefs fan. I would never even pretend to be.
You are a fan of Mahomes
I'm
and
a fan
Kelce.
of my buddies. I think they're great. They're so generous
They are
to me.
great.
And they let me have fun. So yes, I'm going to wear a KC shirt and tip the hat to a couple Hall of Famers. My bad. My bad, America.
You don't sound defensive at all.
Very much so. It bothers me, man.
Are you a Kansas City fan?
Yeah, dude, a little bit. A little bit. Also, they win. It's cool. It's cool to go to the Super Bowl. Let the Bears start winning Super Bowls, man.
You need to block his calls. You need both of them. You need to say,
they
no,
won't stop blowing me up.
I'm sorry. I'm with Cole Kmet now.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I can no longer chat with either of you boys. How I ran into that whole thing is crazy. I met Kelce years ago at Soho House. We were introduced to do a show together. They wanted us to do a sports show together because Travis was getting more into television. And they were like, he really wants to do a thing. And then I told him, I said, I don't know. I just didn't know if it was right. I felt a little weird about the whole thing. And then afterwards, he was like, so we shouldn't do it? I said, I don't know, man. I was like, maybe, I don't know. And he was like, well, all right. And then we got a couple drinks and we just buddied up. And then every time he came to LA, he was like, do you want to kick it? And then he won the Super Bowl. And he was like, hey, we're going to go out. You should come. So I was never like, hey. He was very warm and open, and we just became friends through that. And then I met Pat through him.
He chased you, is what you're saying.
He did a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
You want to know publicly.
I was his first Taylor Swift. Yeah, I was the first Taylor Swift. He chased me, baby.
You played hard to get, and,
I did,
and he did eventually conquer you despite your Bears allegiances.
Well, he's very handsome, too.
Yeah.
That he's tall and handsome and strong. Rugged man.
Yes.
Yeah, I played it as like, I don't want to bother the guy, but he was always very generous and invited me to a lot of stuff. And then we just became like friends. It was a business. It was like the business first. And then we just became friends. Then we would just text and talk because he's just a fun, great, super generous, humble dude. Honestly, like to a degree. He brought his mom and dad. I just played Kansas City, and Pat came, and his wife Brittany came, and then Trav and his brother Jason and his wife, and they brought mom and dad Kelce out, and it was awesome. Like those things are just those feel like running down Wilshire. Making a huge room laugh with those guys there supporting, yeah, that feels like running down Wilshire. It's like, I really can't believe it. Or I just took my dad to watch KC play on Monday Night Football. My dad's never been to a Monday night game. I mean, we didn't go to a lot of games as kids either, It's expensive and it's a whole thing, and we never had season tickets or any of that stuff. My dad never been to a Monday night game. And I was like, well, this is one to go to. And we're going to sit in Pat's booth and, you're going to live the life.
You got to be a Bears fan.
I know. Go Bears. Go Bears.
What are you doing?
I love them to death. By the way, none of the Bears invite me out to their suites. You know what I mean?
Cole Kmet?
Yeah. Adunze, where are you at, dude? Hit me up. I'll sit in your box.
Did you find yourself, or have you found yourself in the middle of the Taylor Swift madness? Have you?
No.
That you haven't got.
I have nothing to do with that. I mean, I love Travis. She is absolutely wonderful. I've met her just briefly. I don't know her. I mean, I think she's great. She's a very nice person and very sweet, and he loves her. Or whatever the word you want to use. They really, they have a great relationship. And
do you not want to use the word love because you're afraid the Swifties will aggregate?
Yeah, I don't want to get shot at online.
So you don't know if it's love or not.
You don't know what love is.
Whatever word. Okay, yeah. I think you can call
whatever
it love.
Is.
Okay.
I guess love. I don't know. Do you know what love is? I actually don't know what it is, because I'll say I love you before I'll say it to someone I'm in love with.
No, but it sounds like you got it with Bobby Lee. It sounds like you love him. Like you were pretty clear there.
That's different. It's not even love. That's more. That's lust. No, it's more. That's family. That's blood.
Huh?
That is my blood. That is like, you have a brother, or do you have brothers, sisters, or anything?
Yes.
Like you don't care if they're wrong. They're your blood. You just protect your blood. You're like, that's something deeper. It's deeper than love. It's like, you just want to, you're the grounding wire. You know what I mean? Whenever. He means the world to me. So, but no, I never got caught up in the Swiftie stuff because I don't have a lot of connection to that. I mean, I've known Travis for a long time. She was extremely nice when I met her, and so pleasant and sweet.
It's an uninteresting question unless you've actually been caught up in it. Everything
I have not,
after
unfortunately.
that,
no, but I do find her to be a wonderful person, genuinely. Getting to meet her for real.
Somebody worthy of love, if that's what you could call it. If you're willing to go.
Very worthy of love. I, on the other hand, I deserve none of it. No love. Just give me like.
Well, I thought it was weird reading about you. You've mentioned your wife a couple of times. It said uncertainty of marriage or identity of wife. Yeah. And I'm like, why is this such a mystery?
Yeah, in the new world, we like to shroud her. We like to keep her hidden away in a closet somewhere. She better not get out. She has not in the business, has nothing to do with the business, doesn't want to. This is completely uninteresting to her. Doesn't go to premieres. I mean, I don't really go to premieres either anyway. Like, I don't go to red carpets. I don't do press stuff like that. I don't like it. I don't care. You know, and she likes to keep it that way. I think the anonymity is nice because my loss of anonymity is tough. It's tough.
Oh, so it's a choice. So the fact that this is a mystery, that I'm actually phrasing it that way, that my researchers bring it to me as it's unclear if he's married.
No, I am. I am. I'm married. I'm married to a woman. Stop asking me. Jeez. I'm not.
I was asking about love.
No. She chose. I guess we talked about it together, but it was something that she was very cognizant of. That she saw early on. She didn't love the attention is not what she likes. And to be honest, like, I don't mind it, but I don't love it. You know, I don't love it to a degree that's like, I don't eat it up. I like saying hello to fans. I love having fanship. I love having a fan base. I'm very appreciative. But I don't think she wants any of that stuff. She doesn't like the idea of being like involved in a world where she's not involved in, because she has her career and her love and her passions. And I think that's important, and protecting that's important. You know, I think for me, her comfortability changes. So she tells me if she's like, I'd like to go to that. Well, then we go. But she doesn't, a lot of times it's like, I don't want to be photographed. I don't, you know. I think what's interesting about this to me is when you're not in the business and you're thrown into it by your spouse, it's a little unfair unless you are comfortable with it. But a lot of spouses are like thrown into this, you know, male, female, doesn't matter. A lot of people are like thrust into this. And I don't know how fair it is unless you take into account their feelings about the business or about being publicly perceived. Because, you know, it's something that people do, you don't know how to prepare for it. Like, I really hate the phrase, you know, oh, you know what you were getting into, or that's what you get. I think that's such a crock of shit. It's such a bad line. Like, oh, well, you know, when people abuse a public person verbally online or whatever, or in the press or whatever, and it's like, well, that's what you get. That's what you asked for. It's like, no one asked for that. What I asked for was you to either like or not like my content or my entertainment that I'm giving you. That's all I asked for. I don't need the abuse. I don't need the extra crap. Now, people are going to do it regardless. That's fine. That's your stupid choice. But all I ask is, if you like me, come along for the ride. If you don't, change the channel. I don't need anything else. Just like anything. There's a couple of restaurants right up the street here. There's one I don't eat at anymore because I got sick from it. That's it. I'm just not going to go back. Mm-hmm. So either come eat with me or leave me alone. To me, that's the business. It's like, go away. What are you doing? So spending time dealing with all that, I think, is what made her cognizantly want to stick in her career in her life and not involve as much in this. But if she changes and says she wants to have more involvement in this, fine. Great.
How long have you been married? I ask only because she didn't know what she was signing up for.
That's exactly correct. Yeah,
like she was marrying someone who wasn't this, who who didn't have this swirl around.
She thought I was Ron Weasley when we first met. She thought I was an actor for. Yeah, I said an actor. She's like, "You're on the Harry Potter." We've been married since 2016.
All right, so your life has changed substantively
since 2016. My God, yeah, considerably. I mean, life was good. Life has been. I've been very blessed. I've said it too many times, but it's been good. It's been very, very good. I've had a very fun career. You know. It's a roller coaster. I've had higher moments than others. You know, you book a sitcom, you feel great, got a couple bucks in your pocket, sitcom goes away, no one's talking about you, nobody gives a shit. You book something else, hey, things are good again. Pretty good, I'm humming along, got a couple good gigs. And you get pulled right back down to earth when that gets canceled or moved on, or, you know. Mm-hmm. So I've had a lot of these up and downs, but it's always been fun. Like, I've never once have I felt like this is it. I'm out of this town. You know, I've just felt like this is the ride that you signed up for. And inevitably, it goes back down. It comes back up, it goes back down, and you just kind of get used to it and you don't invest too much emotionally into that. The peaks are cool, but, you know, keep your hands inside the cart.
I've got a couple more questions before we get you out of here.
Yeah.
I imagine from afar, observationally, you tell me whether I have this right or wrong, that Dave was a show made by a perfectionist and that Curb Your Enthusiasm is a show made by an imperfectionist. And so I imagine that the process of making those shows, it looked to me that perhaps Curb Your Enthusiasm, the process would be more fun and that Dave might be more fulfilling, but that the process would be really rigorous.
You're perceptive, if nothing else. It's that to a T. Yeah. Curb was comedy camp, summer camp. It was like, you know, it felt like that, like staying up late at night and like talking when you're supposed to be sleeping. You know what I mean? Like that, like, what are we getting into? Like, what's going on? And Dave felt like a concentration camp. No, I'm kidding. I can't. It was right there. I had to do it. It was so funny. It was right there. I had to pick it up. So sorry, because I went to camp. No, Dave was very...
It required concentration.
It was right there. No, he was just Dave was is a perfectionist. And Dave, you know, Dave wanted things the way he wanted. It was his name on the box of Wheaties. So inevitably, he was, you know, the master of ceremonies. He wanted it to be a certain way, which is why the show was very good at its good points and perhaps why it lacked in other places, because perfectionism kind of leads to, you know, imperfect products because you get so worried about all the things.
Well, you created such a high standard after the first year to continue to meet it. And I mean,
it's so hard to do. And Dave did a great job. And Jeff Schaefer, who's our beacon, you know, who's also the beacon over at Curb, coincidentally, it's hard when you have a lot of people with a lot of great creative ideas to kind of see the same light. And that's no knock on Dave or anybody. The show was really good when it was really good. But truthfully, when it wasn't good, it wasn't that good. I think he really wanted to make something perfect. And that's a hard thing to do. And so, you know, with Curb, yes, Larry is a free-flowing genius. Now, look, I only did one. I don't know what it's like to work with him all the time, but I will say the short little glimmer of fun that I got to have with that guy was one of the best moments of my career. I mean, making Larry laugh, forget about it. Unbelievable. Two people I've made break or laugh that like made me feel like a child again was Larry David and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I never even got to work with her. I just auditioned 10 times for Veep and they never booked me, by the way, but I made her laugh in the room. And that's etched into my brain. She was dying laughing, and I was like, "Oh yeah."
I mean, those are people who you're making the people who are hard to make laugh. You're making them laugh, like people who have known a lot of laughter, and the most talented people in this business
by far. Both comedic geniuses. I think Julia is like one of the most brilliant comedic and just like talented minds I've ever seen. The way she does serious roles is just as good as the way she does comedy roles. So the exact same to me. She's that good. So making them laugh. It's this, a little bit of this, huh? A little bit of sauce.
I will promote what you've got going on. It's the Freeze Peach Tour. It's all over the United States.
Yes.
It's selling out all over the United States. Also, AndrewSantino.com is where you want to go. The podcasts are Bad Friends with Bobby Lee and Whiskey Ginger. The last question I have for you, the opposite of love, deep, deep hatred. Why is it on site that anytime you see Adam Ray, you will begin fighting with him in the street?
This is good. You know, my beef with Adam Ray really, it goes back a long, long way. And I can tell you exactly the moment that I started to really get, you know, really ticked off by Adam Ray is we took a car down to Angel Stadium to go watch a baseball game with our good friend Brad Williams, who I know you know. I'm sure you guys maybe have served time together.
What a grift that guy's got going.
Unbelievable. Me and Adam and I were in the car, and Adam handed me a little bit of THC liquid, tincture, as it were. And Adam and I like to dabble. And he said, take a little bit. And I said, how much? He said, a drop. I said, the dropper? Yeah, the dropper, the eye drop. Sure.
A drop.
I took a whole dropper, the whole entire eyedropper, He meant one little single drop. And I've never felt so uncomfortable in my entire life. Every room turned into an escape room. I was extremely vulnerable is a good word. And then he made me go see Sully while I was ripped. Like, I don't want a plane crash movie before we go to a baseball game. So that's why, Adam Ray, I got beef. You get me too baked and you take me to a scary movie before a baseball game. And I'll fight Adam Ray anytime I see him. And you know that. It's on site, Adam. Step up. Step up, pal. Okay?
People have seen it. Every time you see him,
it's gonna keep going.
It's weird that you just fight in public at all times.
Now, that's why he's doing that Dr. Phil thing. He's trying to hide from me. You can't hide from me, Adam Ray.
What else you want me to tell the people? Freeze Peach.
The Freeze Peach Tour is going on right now. I've got 20 cities left before Bobby Lee and I go to Australia, New Zealand, and Singapore, which is crazy because we stopped our tour, but we owed these dates. And I said, we got to go down under because those down under fans, they like us. So we got to go Australia, New Zealand, Singapore. And then all through until February, I do about 20 some odd cities to finish up. And then at some point, get around to recording the hour for Hulu. It's going to be on Hulu, which I'm excited about. My first shot at an hour with Hulu.
I've seen you say that you didn't love cheeseburger, that you're self-conscious.
I don't like anything I've ever done. I mean, I don't really like, it's hard for me to like fall in love with stuff that I've done because doing it is the best. And then once you're done with it, I'm like, get that out of here. I don't know, it's done. And so
when you say it's the best, that's the thing you love the most.
Doing it, physically doing it. Live stand up, it's unbeatable. My buddy Dan Soder and I talked about that one time about how when someone says like, no, I liked you on this podcast, or I saw you live, it was great, but I didn't like the taped or recorded version of whatever you've done. And Soder said, yeah, because they're getting it right from the source before, right? You're drinking out of the tap. How good does it feel sucking out of the hose as a kid when you're sweating from playing backyard ball? That's going to be way better than the bottle you got at the convenience store. It just is. You're getting it right from the source. So it's a criticism that we'll always get as comedians that do these different mediums now. But I like doing it. But then when it's done, it's hard for me to see it. I don't like watching me, and I don't like any of that stuff. So it's hard I don't know. It's always been that way. But I love live. Live is like it. But so hopefully this new special that I've got, Maybe this one I'll turn around and really enjoy.
Only 20 dates left here.
That's right.
Freeze Peach Tour if you want to see him live in his natural environment.
That's right, where I'm the best.
Really enjoyed this. Thank you, sir.
Me too.